A, meeting opening. A1, call to order. A2, pledge of allegiance and moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now observe a 30-second moment of silence. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We'll move to A3, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion that the governing board adopt the meeting agenda?
I move that we adopt the meeting agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll now have a short video presentation.
Did you want to say anything about it?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that video. Great opportunity for our student. Moving to B1, safe return to in-person instruction and continuity plan. This is an information item and it's available in your board packet. Moving to C, public comment. We do not have any public comment tonight.
Don't get to comment on the information item.
You can, go ahead.
I just want to thank all the people that put all the work into making that plan available to us. It has been a job that has spanned a couple of years, and they are very good at what they do, and I appreciate all the work that went into it.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Moving to D, consent agenda. I call for a motion that the governing board approve consent agenda items D1 through D8.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, and D8.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Moving to E, business services. I call for a motion that the governing board accept the fiscal year 2021-2022 audit reports, including the annual comprehensive financial report, single audit, and the Uniform System of Financial Records Compliance Questionnaire.
I move that the governing board accept the fiscal year 2021-2022 audit reports, including the annual comprehensive financial report and audit and questionnaire.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Wow, what a lot of work. Thank you, Scott. You and your team did a great job. And if I counted up right, there were like 30 pages of reports there, so I know that took you a long time to do. And as I went through them, I saw there were only 6 things that said no. So by my record keeping, that means you did an outstanding job. The ones that were no's were kind of like little bitty things that I didn't think were majorly important. So keep up the good work. We always do well in the audit, and I appreciate you taking the time and the effort to keep us on track with that.
Any other discussion? I'd say thank you again. I learned a lot from reading that report. I learned a lot about our community as well, so thank you for such a comprehensive audit report. We will do a roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Solario,
Aye.
Mr. Oropesa, Mr. Navarez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We'll move to F1, the board policies, the first reading of policy JFA-BDA. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the first reading of policy JFA-BDA, admission of students in foster care.
I move the adoption of, I just lost it, of the board policy JFA-BDA.
Thank you, Mr. Ocampo. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Discussion?
I work with foster children, and I see how unsettling it can be when they move from family to family, which also then causes them to move from school to school, and how disruptive that is to their learning process. So I am in support of the intent of this, of keeping them in one school as long as they can possibly stay there. The only caveat that would be, and it is listed in here, if they have to be transported 45 miles to get to their original school, and that's addressed in here. So I thank people for thinking of coming up with ways to help our foster children deal with some of the situations that come about from moving and changing locations in schools multiple times, sometimes within 6 months.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Moving to F2. F2 is an information-only item, and it is available in your board packet. Any discussion on that?
Yes. I'd just like to appreciate this information-only item, but it involves families and library selection. And many times in districts, involvement of parents is almost a reluctant obligation. But in our district and at the leadership of our superintendent, that she's been very proactive in parent involvement, and I very much appreciate that as a parent. And it was a wonderful thing to see her at work in PIN meetings and in other parental involvement meetings, and I believe we will be able to continue to extend that involvement to our parents with this information, with the establishing of these regulations and procedures. And so I do absolutely appreciate the extended hand that our district has in inviting parents and incorporating parental involvement. It's a fundamental part of any district, and I appreciate where we're going.
Any other discussion? I do also want to reiterate that sentiment that I appreciate the superintendent and the entire Alhambra team for being proactive and for really going with the new laws when it comes to libraries and when it comes to selection of books. I appreciate all the hard work that all of you are putting into this. Thank you. Moving to G, Human Resources. G1, I call for a motion that the governing board approve the submitted support staff rehire list.
I motion to approve the submitted support staff rehire list.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Discussion?
I'll be abstaining due to potential conflict of interest for G1, G2, G3, and G4.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Any other discussion?
I just am so happy to see how supportive we are. Ooh, this is using the same word twice. How supportive we are of looking at our support staff and making sure that we are rehiring competent people and paying them appropriately.
Any other discussion? We'll call the roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Solario,
Aye.
Mr. Navarez,
Aye.
and Mr. Oropesa has abstained. Motion passes.
Thank you. We will move to G2. Call for a motion that the governing board approve the recruitment and retention stipend as submitted.
I move that we adopt the recruitment and retention stipend for the 2023-2024 academic year.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Discussion?
The same thing we've said many, many times. Our staff are so important to us. They are important to the well-being of our students. They maintain our buildings. They are our employees. They come from our communities. They're our parents as well. It's amazing to me, and I so appreciate that we do as much as we possibly can with the limited funds that we have to maintain our employees and to recognize how important they are to us and how much we want them to stay with us. I particularly like in this, and we did this last year too, that even new hires, if they stick it with us until November, they get the stipend. And sometimes new teachers don't even make it past the first quarter. So this is a good incentive to keep working with our newbies and keep them in our employment as well.
Any other discussion? I'd just like to say that I had a conversation with one of our preschool academy support staff over at the Passport to Kinder. And they told me that they came from a different district and that they were really excited that when they got here, they were able to take part of the stipend. And they said very candidly, all you have to do is stay the whole year and you get the other part of it. That's amazing. So I really enjoyed hearing that story of how it's impacted someone in our district. Any other discussion? All those, we will do a roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Solario,
Aye.
Mr. Oropesa has abstained. Mr. Navarez,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you so much. We'll move to G3. I call for a motion that the governing board approve the revised 2023-2024 support staff salary schedules.
I move that the governing board approve the revised 2023-2024 support staff salary schedules.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Discussion?
I think I said it already, but kudos to us for paying our staff close to what they deserve.
Any other discussion? We will call for the roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Solorio,
Aye.
Mr. Oropesa has abstained. Mr. Navarez,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. Moving to G4, I call for a motion that the governing board approve the revised Head Start job description. Call for motion.
I move that we adopt the revised Head Start job description.
Thank you, Ms. De Ocampo. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Discussion?
I truly appreciate that we have looked at the job of our assistants in preschools and evaluated their importance to the continuity of the program, and how we have looked at those jobs that are not only the assistants but also some of our administrative positions, and realize the complexity of what some of those positions involve, and that these positions have not only been created, but they've been placed in an appropriate spot on the salary schedule in commensurate with their duties and their tasks that are being assigned to them.
Any other discussion? I do want to give a shout out to Dr. Myas and to the entire team. These are remarkable changes, and I'm really excited that they're put to the board for us to vote on. Thank you very much. We will now call for a roll call vote.
Mr. Conchas,
Aye.
Ms. De Ocampo,
Aye.
Mr. Solario,
Aye.
Mr. Oropesa abstains, Mr. Navarez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to H, new business. H1, I call for a motion that the governing board schedule public hearings on March 9th, 2023 and March 30th, 2023 to consider potential school boundary changes and/or school closure.
I motion that the governing board approve to schedule public meetings on March 9th and March 30th to consider potential school boundary changes and/or school closure.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Is there a second?
My second.
Thank you, Mr. Oropesa. Discussion?
I'll just say with this on the calendar, this doesn't, when the board approved the online academy, we knew and we knew that we were doing something that was new and different. And I think that we still should strive to find every opportunity to continue to educate our kids in our district any way possible. And that kind of pioneering spirit that started this academy, I hope it doesn't wane at all because of this. I still don't think it was, I stand by this move. And I think that it was appropriate at the time, and I think it has done some excellent good in its place. And so in that, as we put this on the schedule, as we voted to start it, I don't believe it was a mistake, and I think it was still, it is still and was, it served a need, and I think it was an appropriate need, and I think our kids were better for it, and maybe continue to look for opportunities like this in the future.
Any other discussion?
Well said.
I would like to encourage the public, parents, students, anyone who would like to come and talk about this with us on March 9th and March 30th. We value your voices, and we want to hear from you so that we can work together to ensure that everybody in Alhambra matters. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving to I, comments and communications. I1, comments from governing board members.
Okay. I seem to be talkative this evening. I promise to be quiet next meeting. Looking through all the things that we were presented with for this meeting, I have chosen to pull some out and speak to them in my comments. I appreciate all the work that was done for the professional development for our preschool staff and the fact that they got paid to come to this professional development. It is something that was definitely needed. I noticed that we have a skateboard club at Westwood, and whereas that might not be exciting to many of you, Solano Park is getting a new skateboard park. And that is right in the area of Westwood. So go Westwood for being proactive and getting those kids trained in how to use those skateboards safely. I guess that was it. Oh, no, I did. This was just kind of another comment, and I've already made it. But I noticed that when I went through the audit report, some of the things that were, one of the things that really stuck out to me was that the board was supposed to fund, we got cited because the board did not approve the fundraisers at the school. So at some point, I would like an explanation as to what we are supposed to do about that. Because we can't obviously know and approve every single, oh, I guess that would go under requests, I'm sorry. I'll repeat it then.
Any other comments? I'll just say that the preschool or the passport passport to kindergarten was such an amazing event, and thank you to everyone who put that together. When I arrived, there was no parking, which is a good sign. And then when I went inside, could not hear my thoughts, which is also a good sign because there were so many people and so many parents that were just so excited about their kids enrolling into kindergarten here in Alhambra. So good job to the entire team that put that together. Hello. We'll move, are there any other comments from the board? All right, we'll move to I2, governing board direction and or agenda item requests.
I'm not going to repeat it. I already said it.
So just to clarify the fundraising.
Yes, what exactly fundraisers we're supposed to approve.
I'm working, and this is a direction, working with Dana and Superintendent Myas to schedule a retreat, so you'll get more information about that. Hearing no other comments, moving to I3, comments from Superintendent and Executive Team.
Good evening, everyone. Ms. Gonzalez was attending all the excitement over there at the Passport to Kinder, so we'll let you begin.
Thank you so much. Good evening, President Conchas, governing board members, Superintendent Dr. Mayes. So I came back from the preschool center just flying high because it was a wonderful event. It was packed to the walls, like Mr. Conchas said, and smiles from ear to ear. The flyers and brochures and communication started it off. The team did an incredible job planning. The schools were there representing, their booths looked beautiful, and we just had families, lots of children, lots of hand-holding, lots of big eyes, and we even had Pete the cat show up, so it was a pretty good event, but it was a fun little passport trip. They went from booth to booth, got stickers, got prizes, got treats, and lots of meeting, lots of introductions, and just tons of support for our families. Talk about wrapping around them. So it was just a beautiful event. Good job, every single person who participated in it. I'd also like to celebrate Mr. Fight and the ATS team. They've really thought outside the box when it comes to kindergarten recruitment and on that preschool initiative. So they have a preschool partnership program where they have connected with two different groups. Two directors and a regional director came for a meeting. One of those entities has about 19 schools of preschool, private preschools, and they got to tour the campus. They got to learn about our curriculum, see teachers in action, and they're very inspired to have a kindergarten preparation program aligned with ATS. They want to get those children ready to come in to the ATS level of rigor and expectation. And so the partnership is really special because they will work with they will work with families to get them to enroll their children into ATS. We will be able to support their teachers with some professional development. So we're aligning skills and learning in teaching, and also we can provide group level data to them so they can see and we can track trends of the success that this is happening. So a great union, and they're very excited. They are forces to be reckoned with right now. So that's very successful. Our Catalina team is being very intentional in their writing focus. They have recognized the deficits that kids have when it comes to writing, and they took it head on. They have writing across Catalina where you can see training tools and materials and anchor charts and student writing drafts, student final products all across the campus. The teachers come together. They just did their Part 4 training this week, but they analyze the student work. They talk about what went well and what their next steps need to be. They celebrate because they're working very hard, and the confidence is growing. So one comment from a teacher was, our class is growing and becoming confident as focused writers. We are so proud of our work and love writing. And that's not easy for folks to say that they love writing. Another quote is, I have gone from a teacher not feeling very confident to a teacher that now feels empowered. So good work there. CGP, Carol Peck, is gearing up for some big moves in literacy. They're learning how to really utilize the most effective strategies for phonological awareness, decoding strategies. With the new programs we have, the supplemental programs, Geodes and Haggerty, they're very excited. Coaches are in classrooms supporting all of that learning, making sure teachers feel confident in how they're facilitating these new materials and have what they need. They're very excited in how they're planning their lessons and giving the students opportunities to read, speak, and write about complex nonfiction literature. I got to see this firsthand. Kids were writing away. Their journals were worn, but boy, were good things coming onto those journals. And they attribute a lot of the qualities to some training they've recently had with the Schmeckens Writing Conference. And Valencia is just another wonderful celebration for their classified staff. They let their leadership team know they wanted to learn, they wanted training, they wanted to do a better job for their students. So the leadership team jumped into action and they were trained on Foundation, the program for learning to read. And they also learned how to use just different programs on their iPads, so to integrate that technology. Some feedback from the team. Now I understand the reasoning behind how we teach reading and the process that it takes to teach it. I now feel confident in a small group. I know that what I'm teaching is the way the classroom teacher would teach it. And from one of our front office staff there at Valencia, we now know how to explain to parents how their children are learning how to read in English and can explain it with confidence. So just beautiful stuff happening around our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. And now, Ms. Bilyeu.
Thank you, President Conchas, members of the board, and Dr. Maez. As requested, I have a summary bond update. You may recall from Mr. Shields' presentation, the district had committed $2.5 million of renovation bond dollars to each of the following sites: Granada West, Sevilla East, and Westwood, as these sites did not receive a gym or any kind of major renovation. The sites had a committee form, and it consisted of the principal, teachers representing grade levels, classified staff, community members, and parents. And currently renovation work, some of it is currently underway with others being slated. So at Sevilla East, so far completed is the ball field light poles. The work in progress is renovations to their primary and intermediate playgrounds, outdoor drinking fountains, ball field renovations, library renovations, new carpet, new paint, all new furniture for the library, with about $525,000 still remaining as unearmarked for the committee to work on. At Westwood, we also had ball field light poles renovated, removed. They had shade structures installed, and 5 new outdoor playground and drinking fountains were installed, with the committee still working on major renovations to the primary and intermediate playgrounds, including new structures, additional swings, concrete pathways, and new surfacing. They'd like a sound system upgrade in the cafeteria. 6 portables are slated to be removed, and outdoor restroom facilities added, with about $350,000 still not earmarked for any kind of work yet. There's the work of the team at Granada West involves outdoor restroom facilities, the removal of some portables, lighting upgrades, major renovations to the entire playground, including new structures, additional structures, swings, concrete paths for accessibility and additional shade. They'd like multi-purpose room renovations and library renovations. So they have about $350,000 that is still unearmarked for anything. So work is in progress, and the teams are still working, and the committees are being sure to get the input of the impacted staff or community as renovations or improvements are suggested. That is our bond update. Switching gears to our Operation School Bell. You may notice on the calendar that there are many Operation School Bell events scheduled. If you'd like to see them, they're on the community calendar, but we've had Lots of interactions through a partnership with the Assistance League. Operation School Ball provides clothing to Alhambra kids. And the program goes to each site 2 times a year, serving about 50 kids each time. Kids receive 3 pairs of pants, shirts, underwear, socks, a belt, a sweatshirt, books. It's really fun. The big bus comes. What's really exciting is the collaborative work of our parent volunteer coordinators, our counselors and social workers, and our admin, because filling that list of 50, they really have to know our kids and their needs, and they make sure that they're very intentional about who is served. So future events are noted on the calendar. If you ever need help with the community calendar, my trusty assistant, Nikki Wilson, is here to help you. Feel free to email her and she'll hook you up with the calendar. Last but not least, I'm really super proud to share that you're not always happy when DPS kind of visits you. The Department of Public Safety is, when they're behind you, it's not always a good thing, but this was really good. The Department of Public Safety Student Transportation Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Task Force attended our bus evacuation at ATS, and the results of the observation were super positive, highlighting our organization and communication. This didn't happen by accident, and it wasn't just transportation alone. It was a strong partnership between transportation and the school site. DPS shared that they had never seen bus evacuations be conducted in such an organized manner, and they liked that the team debriefed afterwards to discuss what went well and what we can do better. So Vanessa Shields, our Director of Transportation, wanted to shout out to ATS for supporting transportation and collaborating, because the 2 entities working together, they were able to run through the bus evacuation drill with 768 students and staff in 10 minutes.
Wow.
What's really important with that is now we know that it will take 13 buses to evacuate ATS to an alternate site. In the event of an emergency, our kids at ATS will be safe in 10 minutes. So safety is always at the forefront of everything we do, and in partnership with the staff at ATS, we have evidence that teamwork makes the dream work, and we can keep all our kids safe. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you, Ms. Bellew. And I just would like to conclude by thanking everyone. I know everyone's been working really hard to ensure that we're supporting our schools and all those who are working closest to our kids. A small example of that is here on our board agenda. And just a couple of items, what could seem small, the work related to the Head Start has taken a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of collaboration, and I thank our team for engaging in this important work. As we continue to problem solve and continuously improve all that we do. A small example with this is things that we've learned in wanting to ensure all of our employees are treated equitably and understand just how valuable they are and the role they play for our kids. Head Start had 2 different job descriptions, as you all know. And what I had found what I learned with our Head Start employees is that a number of them have been with us for years and went years without receiving any raise because they were on that Head Start salary schedule. And even I know HR is anxious after this evening, after your board approval. We get work agreements ready for our classified employees, and very often Head Starts weren't ready on time or at the same time, and they would often have to wait for their agreements and just different things like that where we treated employees differently. And again, understanding that they all play a very valuable role in the work we do for our kids each day. And so with what you've approved today, I'm very grateful that we now have all of our support staff on one salary schedule. And when HR works hard to get those agreements out, all of our employees will get that agreement at the same time. And so, so again, and when the board votes for raises, all of them will be treated equitably. And so we're very grateful for your support in that work. And like I said, just one small example of an effort that took a lot of time, a lot of collaboration, many great things going on. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for all you do for our kids each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mayas. Thank you, Ms. Bellew. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. We really appreciate the entire team and all of you in the audience as well. Going to J, meeting closing. The next governing board meeting will be on March 9th, 2023. J2 is your calendar of events. We're moving to J3, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Lopeza. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Solorio. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Sorry, we're adjourned.